Today, we're going to do a little experiment. We're going to test 4 material types and how they release from a print surface. In each one of these material types, I'm going to print the same 6 parts and grouped in the same orientation, placed in the same location on the print surface with the same print settings like infill and number of walls and stuff like that. The only difference is going to be the material type and the settings, the temperature settings for that material type. Then upon completion of each one of these prints, right at completion, I'm going to flex the build surface, and we're going to see how many of these 6 parts release easily on their own. For the parts that don't release, I'm just going to simply use the part removal tool that I am advocating for to release the rest of the parts. And then when we've run all 4 material types, we're going to talk about the pros and cons and how the part removal tool can help you in your printing needs. So with that in mind, let's get started, okay? In this first example with PLA, you can see that not all the parts released. 3 of the smaller parts did. The battery door, the vertical battery door, that one didn't release, but it simply pulled off by hand. The 2 largest parts towards the back, those did not release, and I used the part removal tool to take those off. Now in this second example with ABS, you can see that when I flexed the build surface, none of the parts released. And by the way, the build surface is warm enough for you to really grip it. You need some protection. So I used a hand towel to protect my hands. But none of the parts released, and I used the part removal tool to remove all the parts. Now you could have let the build surface completely cool. It would take a few minutes for that to happen. And once it cooled, you can pull it out and flex in different directions and probably have way better luck getting parts off. But that's extra time and steps that you really don't need to take. You just need the part removal tool, and you just take all the parts off right from the get-go in just a few seconds. In this third example with PETG, you can see that only 2 of the parts released from flexing the build surface. The rest of the parts I removed using the part removal tool. Now, you can pull the entire build surface out because this is a lower temp material and flex from different angles and maybe get better results. Or you can wait for the surface to cool down and probably get better results. But I've found with PETG, sometimes the parts want to stick to that build surface no matter what. And having a part removal tool really aids you in getting parts off quickly and easily. So anyways, thanks. So in this fourth and final example with polycarbonate, you can see that flexing the build surface, I could get 4 of the parts to release. Now, the build surface is getting screaming hot for this material. You can see I used a towel to protect my hands. But in the end, I still needed the part removal tool to remove the last 2 parts. Now, of course, you can wait for the build surface to completely cool, but that's more time and extra steps you really don't need. You can just remove all the parts at once with the part removal tool and been done with it. Well, there you have it. 4 material types, same 6 parts. We got to see how they reacted right at the end of their print times. And if you notice, in every single case, not all the parts released on their own. Now, I could have pulled the print surface out. I could have flexed it from different angles and probably got more of the parts to come off. But with a couple of these materials, that print surface is quite hot. So it's not really recommended to do that, right? Now, I could have just let the print sit there for, several minutes. I don't know how long it takes for different materials, and just let the build surface cool. and I'd probably get even better results in flexing and getting them to remove. Now, the thing is all of these extra steps of letting a print surface cool or removing the print surface completely from the printer and flexing from different angles, all these are additional steps to get the parts to come off. And not to mention, when you put the build surface back in, it's not all the time, but once in a while, you'll capture a small particle of material between the build surface and the build plate. So, that throws off your flatness. Other times you might catch an edge along the perimeter of the build plate and kind of get it little cattywampus. That affects your print. It also, all this extra handling, you run the chance of getting some finger grease onto the surface, which also affects your ability to print the next set. So what I'm advocating for is that you could save all this time, all this effort, by just using the print removal tool right off the bat. And you could have removed all 6 of those parts within 5 to 6 seconds of opening the door. And in my mind, that's a lot quicker and it's a lot more effective, isn't it? It's a matter of convenience. If you got the time, you want to let a print surface cool, for 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is, then I think you're good to go. But in my environment, I'm constantly printing. I have thousands of hours of print time over the last 10 plus years. I'm on my 4th printer, by the way. So I've been dealing with this for a long time. And the print removal tool allows you to do this process more quickly without the time penalties in between prints. Now, I know that the print removal tool is kind of foreign to anybody watching this video. That, we've never removed prints in this way before. The tool just never existed before. So my goal in releasing these videos is to maybe help folks understand that this new tool could really help speed things along and make it easier for you to print and remove parts. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. There's going to be a lot more videos, and I have some other ideas to help engage us in how we want to talk about this issue. So thanks again, and bye now.